So I thought we might start off with just brief introductions, given it's the first one, we might want to go slightly more extensive than we usually would. Normally it'd just be Hyatt, Shane and Balls and whoever. But I thought this time I might just say a couple of words about who we are. So my name's Spectral. I'm a player with Southern Discomfort. I actually live up in Glasgow, so I spend more time not with Southern Discomfort than with them these days, but such is life. And yeah, that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah, have multiple European champion, all that stuff. Nah.
Shane, say something.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Shane. I have beer. I walk like a dinosaur. Apparently I play roller derby too. At least I've done that once or twice. Maybe for England, I can't really remember. Probably Southern Discomfort.
I'm Steve. Hello. Former coach of Southern Discomfort, bench coach for England men's roller derby, the last time, not now. Currently coach Copenhagen roller derby and help out Crime City from time to time.
And Delta?
Cool. I'm Delta. I skate with London Brawling. Skated with the England women's in the last World Cup. And I coach Southern Discomfort. And I think that's it.
What's everybody drinking?
I'm drinking Kashasha and Fanta because I forgot to get beer. Kashasha is a sugarcane rum from Cape Verde. So it's a lot stronger than beer. I should have got beer.
I was going to say you had one job, but maybe this is better. Yeah.
Yeah, I work in a bar as well. Really
bad. Delta, what about you? Did you find some beer?
So, okay, you can't kick me out the club. I really don't like beer. I like other things. I like cider, and I've got a gin and tonic.
They should maybe be booze derby tactics and booze.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Let's make it booze. Yeah, done.
Done.
Fits everyone in.
Every week I will have a more elaborate cocktail.
Hey, I like this.
Shane, what are you drinking?
It's Holston Pills, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Is that actually Aussie, or is it just that all my Aussie friends drink it?
I think it's just everyone that you know that is Australian happens to drink it. It's definitely not Australian. I'm assuming this is... Yeah, it's because it's cheap, pretty much. It's from brand. Northampton. Where's Northampton?
Very close to you lot.
Yeah.
It's like
shit! It is owned.
It's from the Midlands.
By Carlsberg, though.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it is owned by the Danish. So yeah, I'll take responsibility for it.
Yeah. It's all yours. Apparently, I can't drink it if I'm pregnant.
Is that a serious concern at the moment?
Oh, keep that in mind. Yeah.
Okay. I've gone local. I've gone for some Scottish Glaswegian, in fact, St Mungo's, West St Mungo's, which is quite nice. It doesn't taste very strong, which is basically what you want from a beer. You want it to taste as little like beer as possible. Yep. As far as I'm aware, hoppy is a euphemism for yucky.
Yeah,
that is about right. Yes.
Okay, so news, a couple of little bits of news. So first up was, about a week ago, Crime City published this statement saying, this year WFTDA has chosen to place both playoff tournaments in the US, a country that's inaccessible to many because of the racist travel ban. Being a citizen of or having a passport from the wrong country, inverted commas, puts people at risk when trying to enter, not to mention expensive and ridiculous visa application procedures. I won't read the whole thing because it's quite long, but I understand the insinuation is that Crime are understandably quite frustrated about this. They're still planning to go, but they're saying it's a little unfair because they don't know realistically how much of their charter they'll be able to safely take with them. And they were sort of urging all of their friends in the roller derby community to speak up and urge WFTDA to fix this. What are people's thoughts on this?
I think it's twofold with the statement in both of them are in North America, which... Yeah, if the main player that we have in question, I think there's two now, Mithra and Below both are Iranian, or have Iranian passports, but are Swedish citizens. But because of their passports, they're on a watch list. So I know last time below me had to get ridiculously complicated visa and have WFTDA's lawyers involved as well, which just seems ridiculous. And then the other part is one of the playoff locations is in North Carolina, which has absolutely horrendous LGBTQ laws, such as the bathroom bill that you can only go in a bathroom as per the gender on your passport, on your birth certificate. So
it's one of those states.
Yeah, it was the first one to put it in, and it's in Greensboro, North Carolina, and yeah, there are a lot of people expressing concern of what the fuck, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, double issue then, isn't it? That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
How many teams this time round are outside of Europe?
Outside of Europe?
I mean, yeah, you know what I mean.
Inside
the
Europe.
US. Yeah, inside Europe.
US.
We'll go with that. Outside the US, is probably the real question.
God.
That are capable of going to playoffs. So you've got VRDL, Crime, Stockholm, Helsinki, Rainy, London, possibly Kallio. I know they're sort of on the verge of it, and I'm not sure where.
Bear might be again.
Oh yeah, and Bear and Dublin are sort of 34th at the minute, which is
there's a few that are on that teetering point as well.
Yeah,
Canberra.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a fair
Canberra. Yeah.
There's a fair percentage then that are starting to build up.
Yeah, it's getting to be almost half of the 24 teams are from non-America, and Montreal. I know that they're basically North American.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is, it's a difficult one for anyone to try and work out because, still 50% of the teams are coming from the US. The other 50% are from random locations. If they were all in one country, or even if all 50% of the other 50% were in the, say Europe, it becomes an easier kind of thing to do. But yeah, I don't know. You kind of, I don't know, when you've got restrictions on who can come in, that kind of, that sucks. You can't really have, there are other situations where you can accept not having players sort of able to get in. Let's say they've got, criminal records. I mean, that's all kind of that's crap reasons to not be allowed in, but at least they're kind of reasons that can kind of potentially be understood and stuff like that. Whereas, just, you've got a passport from a wrong country. That's a little bit more sort of difficult to kind of justify. But still don't know where else you'd position them all without then having a whole bunch of other people having to travel a long way.
With the travel policies, I was speaking to a couple of teams from America last year in that they have the opposite problem that if they leave the country, some of them may not be allowed back in. And they live there and they have families and things there. But
okay.
So,
then, I mean, I don't know. Is the answer that one has to be in the US, one has to be outside the US each time? It's kind of what it sounds like. And then if the teams have got,
But then you're still stuck for champs.
Yeah. But still one
it's a good
instead
point.
of both in America.
Yeah. At least that's where the MRDA are sort of doing something better. I would say better. But in sort of saying that every other year, is it that the champs will be in Europe because of the amount of teams of the top 12 MRDA teams that are European? It's half, so it should be 1 year, then 1 year, then 1 year, then 1 year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some of the issues that we've had with trying to get American teams over now is it's harder because a lot of them want to commit to that in case they have to come over for playoffs or champs. So we have that extra fun. So as trying to get our challenging games, it's even more again that we have to go to America to get sort of games there as well. And we can play other European teams, which we do, but there's still a slight difference of play between some of those team stuff, and it's just good to play the same 4 or 5 teams over and over and over again as your games. And so we're struggling to get teams commit to that. I don't know if they did something like the MRDA where it was alternating and they knew for a fact that the guarantee that'd be easier, but it's definitely been a bit of a frustration. And we did actually bid for playoffs. Admittedly, we got asked quite last minute specifically to bid. We were looking at the Continental Cup, and London's expensive, but we're still bidded. We still tried. We managed it once, and that Malmo playoff was great.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if it can be done once, it can be done more often. And if it's sort of beneficial overall to have, a US one and a non-US one for all of the reasons that have kind of been discussed, so that the US teams don't necessarily have to leave, and the European teams or rest of world teams don't always have to travel to the US for whatever reason, then yeah, like, I don't know. It sounds like it's an easy win, and then there's just champs people have to worry about. But there's no real easy way around champs either. It would, I don't know what the percentage of sort of teams is that make it to champs that are sort of, US versus non-US. But if that's, unless that's 50-50, you can't really kind of go claiming that it should be outside the US all that frequently. Although, stopping to think about it, it probably is getting close to 50-50 these days.
According to FTS, in the top 12 at the moment,
it's
there's
like
only
Rose,
3 non-US teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
The mostly it's US.
Sorry, next segment of news. This last weekend we had Eurocup 2019. Who had a chance to have a watch of that?
I watched all bar one game, I think. Yeah. But I think that the level of derby from every team was like super encouraging to see, like, because other than a couple of games which were like by 150 points, all the other games were like 10-15 points in them, which is just awesome for European derby. That, like, it's not just like 5 years ago with London just like 1 billion to 2, and like it gets to a point where like no one wants to see huge blowouts anywhere anymore, and like the fact that teams are becoming so competitive is.
There's just something interesting when we talk about like other sports and how in other sports it can be like any given day, like either team could like take the win and stuff, and so often in derby it's not. It's like you just know for the most part. So that was something that I was thinking like that any of those teams played each other like next weekend,
you'd potentially get a different result. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Because you don't get that a lot in roller derby, and you definitely haven't got that in European roller derby, sort of that much before. But now you've got a whole stack at the top where you're right. Any of them on any day could beat the other, which is good. It's good to have a tournament like that. Probably not so good for you, but
I mean, it's a little more stressful, right? I thought Rainey put on a very good tournament at the weekend. Like the whole organisation and all their officials and everything, was really good. All the volunteers. There's this guy who just always opened the door for me. It was great.
Oh, he's just literally following you around, opening doors?
Yeah. No, this is
a little bit
door.
creepy.
I just couldn't deal with it. It was pushed and stuff. And it was, it was a way well put on an event. All their organisation of it and everything like that.
I think it was it was quite sort of poignant. So when I read Dottie's Facebook status, are London underdogs enough to have fans again now? And it was like, because there was a couple of years of just like a lot of people just hating on London because they're the best in and when England squads were picked and it was like 80% London, and it's just
it's kind of what you got to wear when you are kind of the best for a little while. You kind of got to go with the expectation that people are going to want to see you get beaten at some point, and for your own benefit, you kind of want to be beaten at some point too. You want to be pushed. I know Delta said it was stressful, but they would have been pretty good games to be playing in regardless. And it's better to have that option than to be going out there and beating people 500 to 20 or something every single time you play them.
I get stressed at the start of the first jam of every scrim each week, so my stress level is not something to judge much by.
One thing that I thought was interesting was So the idea of 2019 was the idea that, we'd be seeing a lot of extremely slow, grindy game with, jammers playing a lot of Jammer D and all this kind of thing. I thought it was kind of interesting because I did some stats, and sure enough, the stats said flat out that it made absolutely no sense for that to take place. But, I reserved judgment. There was no sign of it this weekend, which I thought was quite nice. I was worried that, they might be right. I was worried that the whole game might slow down. We might see endless Jammer D. That we might just basically see things bordering on 5D for large chunks of games. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't see any of that in evidence. In fact, if anything, I saw a lot of offense going in. I saw a lot of actually fairly free-flowing gameplay. I thought it was nice.
The LRG Stockholm game was very high scoring. Like, what was the final score in that one was like both in the high hundreds each, right?
Or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that was very high scoring game considering. Scores were generally. I don't know. It did feel like the edge was taken off scores overall. But it was just the change from taking the top off the points kind of thing. But you're right. It didn't feel like it, sort of rolled into sort of 4D, 5D kind of messes of everyone kind of just grinding it out. There was portions of it in some games, but it didn't seem like it was more or less than what you got in other games. But we're still only, I guess, a few months into, into the tactics being what they are, and we'll see where people go with it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, since the jammers lost their point as such, we've been with Copenhagen. We've been having a tactic that if there's a jammer from the other team that keeps just destroying us, sending on one jammer who, if they don't get out, is then tried to become a bit more defensive to grind them out. But we've not needed to use it yet because there hasn't been anyone that we've come against that's done it. But I think some teams will start practicing it just to have that in them.
Shut down, but
it's
only going to work in very specific situations, though. Yeah. It would have to be a jammer that would be scoring literally, more than 50% of another team's score that you would want to look at doing that with. And I don't think, not every team has like that one jammer that scores 50% of their points. Yeah. So you're not going to be. You're not going to be looking at doing that every single game, but I guess by the same token, it's worth having something in the toolkit so that when you do get a game like that and it's like, we really just need to shut this one person down, you've got one jammer who can go out there and, I guess just do that. That's it. I'm going to sacrifice my own game. We're going to stop this other person scoring. But then again, there's other ways of combating that too. How do you want to open it up more so that you're actually getting the leads instead of just giving up sort of leads to them. So there's different ways you can kind of slice it.
Yeah, because you can also you can do your jammer matching, which is something we did this weekend with Crime and with Curly, which was fun. Stressful again. Stressful and stuff, but you can try to neutralize at least one specific jammer, and then hopefully your other jammers against their other jammers can
it's where you make up the difference.
Okay. Should we dive into some footage analysis?
Let's go for it.
Before we dive in, I want to say a big thank you to Madison Roller Derby for letting us use this footage. This is from Udder Chaos 2019, which is 10 days ago now. They streamed the thing live and just said, sure, absolutely, use the footage. So, big thanks to them. That's really awesome.
Good positioning by the announcers there. I really like the way they've managed to get one on each side of the screen. It's top notch.
Yeah. And, good product placement for radar there. Really good.
Yeah.
This is the kind of analysis you were after, right now.
Absolutely. So we've got Madison in white and Rocky Mountain in black, I guess.
Oh wow! This is something I noticed in I was watching some other American derby that no one at certain levels seems to form a wall anymore. It sort of seems to just be a succession of chest-facing blockers, and that just gets spun around.
So
it's the switch. From D to O, and teams just aren't switching back quickly enough, because that tends to happen to us when we just don't switch back from going all O to D, and then we'll just all split up, and then it just becomes throw a body in front.
Yeah, exactly. Get a body in front, and all the jammer's doing is slalom kind of through.
Okay, question. Before this jam starts, you're 4-on-2 down. How do you start it?
as a 2, you want to do what they've done, which is go to the front. You don't want to give yourself any opportunity to be kind of like easily boxed in. They've done probably about as well as they can really do on that there. Obviously, with the white jammer lining up in the center there, it kind of, you've got to assume that with black jammer on the other side there, that white jammer is going to have an easier run to this outside. But interestingly, their offense player is also on that sort of far side as well. So it makes me wonder if they're going to attempt to go that way. The only thing is there's going to be a lot of focus on that sort of inside part of the track. Which, potentially if they wanted to sort of fake where their offense is coming from or anything like that, you could have that one that's on the outside there, open up that outside lane quite easily. But yeah, I don't really see too much more black can do other than sit where they are. You'd like them to be a touch closer to where white are, but that offense player is in a good spot to keep them from dropping back too far.
Delta, if you were black jammer here, would you be thinking about jammer D, or would you just be going hell for leather?
So I have had this debate many times, and it kind of depends sometimes on how I'm doing in that game against those wolves. Yeah, I'd like definitely a consideration would be, if not specifically like committing to like a jammer D role, at least trying to position myself in that line, like on the line in a way that's going to help that too.
So effectively, what's kind of happened there, because she has put herself in the gap where the offense player is, which is nice and handy. That's obviously not immediately open for them. From a blocking standpoint, I want to see you go hell for leather, because there's only going to be so long we're going to be able to keep these people occupied for, and we're going to be able to hold that jammer. That's
but that's the actual what my preferred preference is because it's really hard unless that like other jammers like lined up right next to the line and you're going to be able to like knock them like out and recycle them. It's really minimal what kind of jammer you can do that, because they can fully all surround you in that second. And so my actual preference is to like go for hell for leather, like.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that kind of work in your favor. Like obviously not having a bunch of your own players on the track means that there isn't anyone to kind of help clog things, so you can move those other players around a bit. And also by keeping that 3 as occupied as you possibly can and really putting them under pressure makes it a little easier for the 2. Like nothing really makes it massively easier, but it makes it a little easier for that 2. They know they're not going to get a second offense or more than that kind of on them. And maybe if you can stretch that 3 enough, you might get that 4th one thinking, I may have to drop off here and just help these guys lock that jammer down a touch. Let's see how it plays out.
What happens? Yeah. Say it again?
Yes.
Yeah, so she went around the open side there.
And then kind of cut in towards where her offense would be.
Yeah. Which is probably the right way to do it, because that you had to force those 2 to come across to that side. So, yeah.
So if you watch, Black Jammer, by attacking directly, does a relatively good job, because they only get the triangle for a second or 2, and after that point, she's never actually behind a full triangle again. Like
and that's the going
the whole time. They eventually knock her off, but it's actually smart.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about with the just go at them. Because you want to be able to open up that space. You want to make that defense have to work. You want to make them have to focus on what you're doing, and they at no point had a lockdown. So it's about as good as it's going to get for you.
The only thing I'd have liked to see from the 2 black blockers is as soon as that offense started engaging on them is moving forward just to try it, because obviously the pack is going to then be with them, and it just gives them more of a space to move to try and catch that jammer, because they both stay relatively still. The jammer's just able to cut inside.
So I actually stopped there. So I was actually thinking at the moment they realize the jammer is going to the outside, I was thinking I almost want them to go back in there and just try and clog and block. It's not ideal because you don't have a third player to cover the other side. So if they do what you guys call flip-flop and, jammer ends up going to the other side, you're gone, you're done. There's nothing you can do. But you'd be surprised how often that if you drop into that hole there, that jammer will still be like, there's only 2 of them, I can beat them. And they'll end up getting stuck behind you and blocked in by their own players. Yeah, so they kind of end up leaving a fair bit of space there because White dropped back right off the start. Like, they really aggressively dropped back. They didn't hold a good shape, but by dropping back, they open up space between themselves and the 2 black blockers, which is the space that gets used by the jammer to then go through, which is, another thing. It's like, maybe would have wanted them to drop back into that hole a little bit more. Yeah. It is obviously this is only the first power jam start we've seen, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Good work by White. Yeah.
This is
that. Yeah.
That was smart.
Oh, wow.
Really smart.
That was nice.
Yeah. That was good. Good commitment by the White jammer just to
just run at it. Is that I'm trying to work out if they've got Black have got one pack that's happy to start at the back and one pack that's not. But I get the impression that they got one pack that's happy to start at the back.
And it's interesting, right? Because it feels like the sport is being more and more determined by what happens at the start, like in the first 10 or 15 seconds of gameplay. And the start versus back is, front versus back at the start is massive difference.
Yeah. That front worked nicely for them.
Yeah, White rolled back. But it was just that really slow roll back. That's just...
First power jam start, 4 on 3. 4 on 3.
4 on 3.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really smart. This is we don't see this as much anymore, but this is you'll draw a false start, stick your toe stop on the pivot line, line up as far back as you can. But it works. The white brace, if you watch the white brace here, has to basically let the jammer go. Oop, there you go.
Well, the pivot makes her let it go.
Is this their backline pack again? Are we on the right jam number for it to be their backline pack again? So I think they got 2. Yeah, it's every second jam. I don't know if they're doing that for their jammers or against, like as a tactic against the other jammers, or if they just like starting at the back. I haven't pieced together why they're doing it, but they're definitely doing it. Yeah, it's definitely intentional. It's not like they're sort of being forced into it by the other team. They're selecting to do it. But
and this pack always take the front, it seems.
Yeah. They do. It's 2 very distinct styles on it.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know if that's how they're more confident or whether it's a jammer preference or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
so a white starting 4-3 down here and at the back.
Like it,
It's interesting.
It's dangerous.
Great.
Yeah.
This is exactly why this is dangerous, right? Because black wrap around you makes it very easy for black to sort of play offense on you and for white jammer to get out.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you look for from the front. Like that, their brace, White's brace, had no lateral movement. Like it was immediately cut off by another player. So as soon as they opened up the center of that triangle, they had choices as to how to get around that, where that brace was.
Those are actually quite nice dynamic triangles from White. They got offense going in all amongst them. And yet they keep rotating around. People are happy to switch from brace to forward brace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is a savage hit from Black One. This is just really smart. Like the turn as she comes in.
Yeah. Great. Good side.
Just looking at this start, this is their traditionally front starting pack. In a 4-2 situation, deciding to start from the back.
Maybe they're going to move.
Am I missing something? Why would they change that now? I don't know. I'm really intrigued. I want to know what they're doing.
I'm not it's the right decision, but maybe it's like they're a jammer just going, I can just push those 2 out by myself.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe that's it. Let's see how they play it. Maybe their offense player is going to drive those 2 forward and then drop back and let their jammer push from there. Good work. Good work by White and good work by White Jammer. So White Jammer set themselves up in the side opposite their 2-wall, and basically meant that the Black Jammer was never going to cut to that inside, which meant their Jammer was. And look at how far back White are. Like, they're right up, kind of close, up against that, beside that triangle, and they were. Nice and braced for when that offense player came in, and they actually got them locked in. It's good.
Yeah,
it's pretty spot
really
on.
Good.
Yeah,
and let some whole Black Jammer long enough to get lead eventually.
Yeah, they did. They got lead.
Also, the offense from the White blocker coming in from the penalty box, coming out from the penalty box, is really good, and just forcing that outside line open for Dark Horse. Oh wow, that was.
I didn't see. How did they get lead so fast?
The pack that has been normally starting at the back, I think, just started at the front, and then just White allowed themselves to be wrapped around.
Because they were down to a 3, weren't they? Yeah, so they had Blacks had the pack advantage. So that's exactly what you would do. It's like one's got the back, one's got the brace shield.
So how do you stop this as White?
I mean, ideally, you're not at the back.
Well, yeah. So my opinion is, and the thing we'd try to do is you'd wait literally until the whistle goes, and then you'd drop really, really hard onto Black. In fact, while it's not very nice, you can make clockwise contact with Black Jammer as long as there's no impact, right? So you can actually drop very, very quickly into Black. Instead, it's a little bit more slow, it's a little bit more lackadaisical, and so by the time that the whistle actually goes, Black pivot is ready to play offense.
Yeah.
If instead you wait, let the whistle go while you're still here, and then go bang clockwise, different jam.
Yeah, agree.
So here's a move that I really like.
I'm calling it.
Until the whistle goes, until the fourth whistle goes, you can hit that Jammer. I hate it, but...
So this is their backline pack again, which just happily sat at the back and allowed White to sit all around them.
Yeah.
With my immediate thoughts with this are Black is going to get shat on. Simple as that. So it'd be really interesting to see how this plays out. Although White offense, are they trying to be in a catching position?
Yeah, that's what I think. They're just,
why?
It looks like
it's 4-on-3.
They're not even in the right. They're not even in the right position for a catching position. You'd be inside.
Yeah, exactly. Or you'd be closer onto the back of 8-4 so that you've got easy access to both sides of the track.
By the looks of things, they were supposed to be a catcher. If you watch them, they track the Black Jammer back and forth across the track.
But why would you be feet ahead and not? I don't know.
Yeah, I found it an audition for either definitely for an offense. So it's they can't be. They've got to be a catcher. But it was even for a catcher, it's a long way off the play. But Black did get shut on, right? They lost that one immediately, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. The outside line.
Let's see how long White managed to keep that Jammer in for. That went quickly back to being 4 Black on the track, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they got a pass. It's all right.
I have a technical question. What happens here? Well, let's watch it through once. So what happens is Black form a triangle, catch White Jammer, no pack is called, Black triangle lets Jammer go. If you are forward faces and or brace in this situation, what do you actually do?
Well, you just need one of you to drop. The rest can keep blocking.
Yeah.
That's
Given
what you'd
the
be looking
proximity
for.
of White, do you just trust that White will reform and you carry on blocking anyway?
Most of the time, that's actually probably in real terms what you do. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Ease
in an
off,
actual game,
but
what would you do?
One of us, I think.
You don't have to move out the way.
You don't have to move out of their way.
They can, as such, you don't You definitely don't need to completely remove yourself like that.
I'd drop someone back, and then as soon as White sort of tried to reform, then just drop them back in.
Yeah, I think we're a kind of safety first team in that situation. I think we'd drop someone even if we didn't necessarily need to, but the other ones would continue blocking pretty robustly.
I think a lot of the time I find myself, it's the one situation which I commit what you might call a deliberate penalty, in that I tend to carry on blocking and assume somebody's going to fix it for me in time,
And that is why the poor next jammer doesn't get any offense, because you're in the box. Because you did that.
Hey, I have a record of 0 penalties this season.
Have you played any games yet?
Only one.
They're back to their backline pack. I want to see stats now. I want to know how this backline pack's actually going.
Yeah. Where's our
Because it seems
stats?
that every time they're just allowing themselves to be wrapped around by
They are, but
Whiteback.
there's been a few where they've been successful, so I've got a feeling it's probably 50-50, but I'd like to see the stats to know why, or to see if that's correct, and then try and figure out why.
The power jam.
So here's the thing. White, when they have 3 blockers against a black jammer, can stop the black jammer. They've done it over and over again. They tend to only lose them when they get offense. But when you put 3 white against a black blocker, goating, they do the same thing we do and every other team does, which is they get a bit lazy.
You've got that. Well, you get a bit lazy, but you're also your brain's still watching what's going on at the front to see whether or not it's the right spot. Is your jammer getting out? So your focus kind of gets split. You don't attack that blocker with the same focus that you attack a jammer. And that's, I think, what does it. Because you're thinking, is the other jammer coming out of the box? Is my jammer getting out at the front? You got all of these other questions kind of going on, so you're not as focused on what they're doing.
That's true. Whereas generally when you just are stopping the opposing jammer, it's like,
You've got that one thing. The most you're focusing on is where's the offense coming in from.
Okay, why do they call it that?
It's the half, eh?
No, it's not half time.
Minute left.
1 minute of half to go.
So Black Jammer is coming out the box.
Whoa, that was a decent apex jump.
Oh, I think they just got it wrong. They were trying to ice the Black Jammer and got it just fractionally wrong.
Yeah, too late.
Really difficult question when to ice a jammer. I think a lot of us assume there are trivial answers in a lot of situations, which never actually is one. It's always a judgment.
I find if you're going to ice the jammer, giving yourself at least the 10 seconds is because a lot of times where the jammer's starting from the box and has a second or two, your blocker's almost focus on offense for just that split second too long, and it allows the jammer a much clearer path.
Yeah, you split your blocker's attention and you give the jammer a massive run up. It's not actually a good recipe. So this is why I hate that. This is another reason I hate this banana 2-wall, because it is not good for the agility of the outside player. And sure enough, Black Jammer just cuts to the outside.
Yeah, they can't.
I'm a big guy. I'm relatively agile for a big guy, but nonetheless, I am a big guy. If you put me backwards on the outside and somebody else forwards on the inside and let a jammer do that to me, I will catch them 98% of the time, right? In the truck and trailer 2-wall. And yet these two agile skaters cannot catch them in a banana wall. So 2 things. First, any thoughts on the penalties?
It's 3 folks on 4. But, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of pack penalties.
Yeah.
I think there are quite a lot of jam penalties. I can't spot all the jams off the top of my head, but I think there have been quite a few power jams.
Yeah, one's got
black.
She's got one of them. Yeah, she's got 2 cuts, 2 back blocks.
Oh, I found a name I like as well on Madison, number 9, Shenanigans. It's a good name.
The other thing I wanted to know was, if you are the losing team here, if you're Madison, what do you change going to the second half?
Try and start at the front a lot more. When they're at the front, they're a lot more successful. This is I'd probably ride Dark Horse a little bit more in the jam rotation, as I think she's their only jammer that doesn't have a penalty. Yeah. And it's seeming to get through relatively easily.
Yeah, she's been great. Actually, Dark Horse, she's been brilliant. Delta, what do their jammers do differently?
I think that they're quite tentative on the start, like the jam are sort of seeing what's happening before going, and I think that's like just allowing that black pack to settle, let their offense do what they want to do. So probably, if nothing else, just like actually really gun it a bit more on that whistle to kind of like been working on that myself a lot this year on that whistle, just like going, because like you watch people like Lauren Much and stuff, and like the minute that whistle goes, like she is like freaking gone.
Yeah.
Like there's no getting around, because otherwise, like especially if it's the other team's got the back, they're just gonna suck back on you. They're just gonna sit and dig even more.
Yeah.
And then the other jammers push your wall up like 20 feet, and it just sucks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that probably plays into the only one thing I was thinking is they're getting a lot of that, like, you know, at least 50% of that time they've got that one pack that Black's got, which is at the back, and it's like whether or not they're taking enough advantage of having that opportunity. Where they've had more players in those situations, they've definitely destroyed them, but when it's been 4-on-4, they've looked like they've been set up in some good spots but haven't necessarily taken advantage of it. And I think Jam are getting in a bit quicker and being a bit more committed, I think, when they're in those situations from the blockers, just to see if they can nab a few more leads in that spot. But I don't know. It doesn't seem to me like there's a world of things that they can kind of change. It looks, I don't know. I'd need to know the players better.
It seems like the other jammers, like they're getting out quite quick as well, which is like there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
As a jammer, if the other jammer is just getting out really, really quick, there's only as much you can do.
That's the thing. I think a lot of the tactics they're playing are just fundamentally absolutely correct. You know, they're doing a lot of triangles in the right positions. They're setting up correctly, doing all this kind of stuff. There are a couple of times their triangles, you know, are getting offense against them. They're losing their jammer slightly quicker than you prefer, but that's not like a fundamental tactical error. It's just one of those things where you can drill it for 400,000 hours and get an extra 3 seconds out. Like it's, you know, diminishing returns kind of stuff.
The only other thing I was going to add to this is a stack of Madison's points came up in those couple of jams. They got like a 12 and a 16 in quick succession. So that would be the only concern I've got on their side is, are they racking up enough points the rest of the time, sort of regardless? Like, I think they're probably going to have a hard time nickel and diming through the rest of the game. But it's just if you take off those big couple of jams they had, I think there would be probably a slightly bigger disparity between the teams. And like you said, I don't think there's anything like there's no one or two things that you go, okay, you tweak that, you're going to suddenly like storm home this game. It just looks like there's like that edge of difference between the two of them. So essentially over the course of the game, they're just going to edge that little bit further sort of behind unless they change something radical and it happens to work. Not such good announcer positioning at the start of this half. You'll see announcer on the right, half on the screen, half off the screen. I think they could work on that.
Hang on, what the hell? They only have one blocker?
That was a superb start. Like, let's roll that. I was thinking that there was more white players. I didn't realize all of the other white players were off the track there. That was about as good as you can hope for from a one. Go back. Yeah. Don't tell me that they stepped out, the other person kept going.
No, the jammer doesn't actually go off quite.
Oh, didn't they?
But that was a good go, and if that had happened,
that was pretty good from White. Yeah. Even if it didn't work, that was pretty good from White.
Yeah.
That's a full person's got a full run up at you. They didn't have full choice of sides. Like the center was blocked off, so they had to go wide in or wide out. But good positioning, good hit.
Yeah. And the jammer's
unlucky
out,
not
so
to get more out of it.
It'll be a 4-0.
Yeah. Unlucky not to get more out of it. If they hadn't have had just lost another blocker to the box, then that would have been about as good as you can expect for a one-person start.
Yeah. Yeah. See where the black skater was lining up the offense. I thought that they were in a perfect position to provide a shield. Then they just moved. So so they're on the outside.
On the inside there.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so on the inside, and it's like they're just going to step in a little shield, maybe give away a direction, but your jammer's going to be straight through. And then she sort of moves to the other side and clogs it.
Yeah, that's a shame. Lead for white. Good job.
Yeah. I was going to say we were wanting them to be a bit more assertive, a bit more aggressive off the start. They actually kind of didn't. They just turned it into a bit of a clog, and it worked nicely for them. They were happy to just kind of like soak up what the opposition jammer did and have all of those players around them, and then once they were all boxed in, take them off the track, which gave their jammer more space to work in. It was nice.
So this is the kind of thing they can't quite afford. It's here they get wrapped up playing offense. They're trying to make sure they pin this black back, get their jammer as far out as possible, but slightly lose track of where the opposing jammer is. And so like they just about get together, but not enough to even like step into the jammer's path.
Yeah.
And then
You're running it.
Running it.
Yeah.
Well, this is the pink. The Rocky Mountain jammer is like the one that's on that high number of penalties, so maybe they're
something in that, yeah. But suddenly wipes down to one blocker and two blockers again. But
that's probably a consideration.
Be curious to see if they keep running it, because that's another thing that they could do to try and close this out a little more.
I'd be really interested to see the distribution, like statistics of the distribution of penalties across the jam. Like, presumably you commit more in the last 30 seconds than you do in like the second 30 seconds.
So Dottie did an analysis of ours for last year, and it was something like, within the first 30, or even like the first 15, 20 seconds, and then sort of like after sort of the minute or so mark, it starts piling up again as people get tired and it goes on longer and starts to overreach and things.
Yeah. So this is dangerous here. Watch what white 8-0 does. So watch white pivot.
Yeah.
Goes in, lands hit, comes clockwise. She doesn't. I don't think she checks whether she's breaking the pack.
Going to break the pack, yeah.
Yeah.
Even if she wasn't breaking the pack, she was not moving to maintain it or to rejoin it. So,
she does get it. There you go. Pack destruction. Yeah.
Yeah, good call.
It's a fantastic hit, but just you got to glance over your shoulder before you do the clockwise round.
Okay, they're running it again.
Yeah, it's
interesting because once you lock down that much, it's difficult for then a jammer to kind of really break it up and open it up again. But if you're going to get to commit penalties, that's fine. It's good work by them. If this gets them back into the game, that's good work by them. It's a simple tweak and it's worked so far. Okay, so if I was them, I would be a bit more aggressive with my start on this, and I'd be getting around that one. Simple.
Yeah, just trying to swallow them.
I wouldn't give that one an opportunity to block on their own. It's,
Yeah, if you can, just wrap around them. There's no reason not to.
At least be in front of them so that you can kind of get them wrapped if possible. Okay, they're deciding to run. Are they? Yeah, they're running again.
Yeah, so sometimes running it not so good.
It's 7-8. It's it's worked. Probably 2 out of the 3. That one was a bit risky, but still, it's only 1 point down. They've got to do something. So
yeah, true.
We struggled to think of anything else they could do. So it's worth a roll of the dice. So they've got an opportunity there with their offense player or their floater is all the way up. Look at how far forward they are. And so they've got that 3 all the way sort of forward. But it just kind of allows the pack to kind of just drift back a little. And then it doesn't really try and drive the opposition forward at all. Just drops immediately back into a 4, which is, I don't know. I would like to see them try and get some more space at the front before dropping.
Yeah, let's watch again what happens. So they do just sort of drift back. White drifts back.
Yeah,
Left
and
back, drift back,
it's at about that point. So it's at about that point where the things actually start, where I think they've got a chance to actually have attempted to kind of drive things forward, to create a bit more space, before they drop back themselves, because they pretty much just stand there and then go back into that kind of fourth spot. So
here's a piece of movement from White 9 that I really like. So White 9 is the inside forward face from the triangle. As Black comes in for the offense, White 9 actively disengages from her brace and drops back to stay back in front of Black Jammer, and then comes back into the triangle. Another offense comes in and breaks it up. But I think this is something that people don't do enough. I think people try and duck, like they try and weather the hit, or they try and spin around them or something. Whereas this White 9 just goes, no, I trust myself to have this Jammer's number, drops into her and stays with her, and sure enough does.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
Yeah, that's good.
that was a good power jam set up by Black.
Really interesting jam start here, yeah. So Black are on power jam advantage. White Jammer's in the box. White only have 2 blockers on the track.
They've divided them completely.
Yep.
Even before the
White
start.
possibly, like in hindsight, White could possibly have done more to try and get out of that, but there's very little they could have done without actively trying to take the back, which,
That's pretty much like
Rocky have kind of destroyed them in the last couple of jams. They've blown it back out.
Black Velvet's on 5 penalties.
Yeah, I think like 3 of them were in that last jam, so...
Yeah. They just want to get off the track right now.
Yeah, they're like, give it to the pivot right now.
Okay, let's have a look what their power jam offense does. There's only 2 of them, and
We went with the fake main bite approach. Now they're on an apex, so...
That was a nice drop back.
It was.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that.
So for anybody that missed it, so Pack is everyone, White pivot drifts forward, Black drift forward, Pack is everyone, Pack is front.
And then...
Black blocker re-enters, and White blocker drops. Pack is rear, people at the front and out of play.
So far out of play.
That's very nice, yeah.
Is it too late for a comeback?
I think so. I think they've had too much trouble scoring consistent points. Even when they were running it, they closed the gap a little bit. They just have that
just got a penalty.
Every now and then. Yeah.
Okay, Black. This is the start from the backpack.
Yeah, it is the start from the backpack. I still feel like Madison could be doing more against this.
Yeah, what's their block on the inside line doing? Like, just make Black Lives hard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
That's better. That's better. That's good.
Yeah.
But, there we go. Look at that.
A great little whipping. Yeah, awesome.
do you run it? I would.
Oh, I think they've got to run it. I think they have to run it.
Yeah.
They need the points. And they've got to just rely on their blockers being a bit more aware.
To be fair, that was fantastic by the Black Jammer.
Yeah, that was
More
great.
hop, and then the spin.
They were just a little too open on that line for an apex.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
I'd still run it,
when it's a pivot, you're not expecting it to be like, oh, what, you can apex jump as well?
Yeah.
They've just got to get it together to actually defend, and they haven't again. Wow.
Yeah.
You've got to lock down.
Sent 2 blockers to the box.
This is haven't both jammers got 20 points now?
Yes.
It's a combined 40-point jam.
Solid.
It's ridiculous. How often do you see 2 teams score 20 points in a jam?
No,
they had to go for it. They had to take the risk with the pivot on there.
Yeah.
They just needed to lock down on that pivot more. They just needed to go, you know what, whatever happens in here, we're not letting that pivot back out. Just look at...
So they would need to drop back much more aggressively.
Yeah.
Instead, they're drawn forwards. Loads of space for Black to block into.
Yeah.
And the Black offense player probably should have hit and dropped. Needed to...
Yeah.
for another power jam from Madison. If they're going to do it, this is how they're going to do it.
Yeah. Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, 37 points is nothing.
Mm-mm.
They need a few of these. There's time, don't get me wrong, but they need a few.
Yeah.
Classic there on that black recycle where they just like go back.
Black have recycled, but since they recycled in the dead middle of the track, white can just hop just over the track tape, and then boom, they instantly have a full block that they don't have to worry about.
Did this start go to the team with 2 blockers on the track? Did black win lead in this? This happens too. I want someone to run stats across like 50 random games and see how often in 4-on-2s the 2s actually win.
That
I
is
don't
to
think
the wire, though. They don't.
I don't
win
think
there,
they did, but it was fucking pretty close.
Yeah, good job, black.
2s win in 4-2 situations far more than they should.
That black jammer getting through there was basically this black block returning from the box. If you watch, it's now black block returns from the box, takes out blue pivot, takes out white 0-3.
Yep,
just give enough of a gap,
stops them getting a shape.
Yeah, it's a great play.
Yeah, Madison's still doing the right things and trying to run these when they can. They're struggling to get more than one pass regardless, or 1+ pass.
27 points, 4 minutes. You can do it, Madison.
Yeah, it's definitely doable, but they need something to go right here.
6-point passes.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? They do have some things going right. They're getting a consistent run of leads. They're 8 up at this point. Is it worth a call at this point? You're doing well. You're getting leads. No, they're going to run it. You know what? This is unexpected, but it's working. What's that, 16-8?
Not bad.
So they're catching up like by 8s, which is much better than anything they've been doing for the first 50 minutes of the game. It's gone from struggling to outscore them by more than 4 points in a pass to getting a string of leads, although Rocky are happily sitting at the back, not getting it. They've actually taken advantage of the fact that they've been at the back. And they've been getting multi-scoring passes.
What?
Oh, get out of town.
4 and cool.
Okay, and you're going to need a good catch. That'll do, but... Ooh. They're going to pinch this, aren't they?
Good hand.
It's going to be very, very close one way or another.
They are going to pinch this.
Yeah, but Rocky just
Get
picked
the
up 4,
fuck
right?
out. Well, that's their consistent 8 points up that they've had for the last 10 minutes. Whoa. Yep, bodies all round. They know they're in this game. Come on. There we go. Fucking hell. Get out of town, Madison. Okay, both are out, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a cut.
No,
No,
is that
that's
no
not
From the
penalty?
outside? No.
Not a cut.
she's done that so often.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to try and get a penalty out of her now.
She's got to really do anything other than get a penalty. Yeah, they couldn't keep up the +8s for the...
Right.
But still, I didn't expect them to get that close.
Yeah.
Good for them. That was a good effort.
That was, yeah.
Must be 233, yeah. 18 points in the end. That's
a very high-scoring game, though. Look at that. 233, 251. 4-point parts passes max.
Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts from me were Madison in the last 10 minutes really played like they wanted it, and they took advantage of those front starts that they were being given. They were a lot more aggressive, a lot more assertive with it, and nearly pipped it. So maybe that's something they could have done earlier. I also thought it was good that, particularly the start of that second half, they started running those jams. Didn't pick that as something that they could do. Didn't occur to me, but it worked well. It got them scoring points and was probably the start of the run that started to see them actually try and play more aggressively.
Yeah, I think seeing their starting foot, like when they were able to take the front, and as Shane said, a lot more like aggressively, and their confidence seemed to grow in that. So it's like, yeah, we know we can do this now. Whereas in the first half, they allowed Rocky to just dictate how they were going to play quite a bit, and they tried to counter that rather than enforcing their game style on them.
Yeah, I think there really is something in like whichever, like we've said this in like our training before, it's like whichever team is like most confident and dominant and like committed to what they want their position to be on the start tends to be the team that has the most success.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we talk about it a lot, but then it's like putting it into practice is like the more difficult thing to do. But it was, I don't know, I'm wondering if like just having that running jams for the first sort of like 10 or 15 minutes of that second half, maybe just started to get it into their head that they can do this, they can play, they can score these points, and that led them to feeling like they could be that little bit more aggressive or more assertive, or if it was just a case of scoreboard pressure, we've just got to do this now, and that's it. For the last 10 minutes, they were just like, fuck it, we're going to go out to win. But yeah, either way, I thought it was a good finish from them.
Yeah, I didn't think there was like a massive difference in terms of like the level of their jammers and stuff. Like both teams had like, a couple of like stronger jammers. And
so thank you to Madison Roller Derby. Thank you for letting us have the footage. Thank you for letting us analyze it. And congratulations on the game. Commiserations, you didn't quite take it, but it was a fantastic effort. Especially that last 15 minutes was actually heroic. So yeah, good on you. Everybody who's watching, if you've made it this far, I'm sorry. We'd be curious to hear what you made of it. As I've said elsewhere, we're just a bunch of Derby fans ourselves. So, this is just our take on it. I'm sure you have a bunch of different thoughts, so we'd be curious to hear them. And then, of course, if there's anybody who'd like to take part, we'd be really interested in hearing from you. We are quite acutely aware that we're a bunch of, white, largely male-presenting people. If there are people who would like to break that up, we'd be more than open to such a thing. So especially if you've got any footage, if you happen to be a member of a team who's playing at these kind of levels, if you'd like to just come and have a chat with us, please do. Please let us know. Thanks, everyone.